All right, Ike. Well, in the news this week, non-Land Rover related, I don't know if you read that the new, yet to be released, as all cars seem to be now, Ford Lightning, the all-electric F-150, not taking pre-orders for it anymore because it's sold out. They are pre-sold or expressed interest in.
They've sold out of all the cars they don't have. Funny how that works.
They haven't started making a single one. 200,000 Lightnings, which I don't know. That's got to be like one of the most popular individual electric vehicles of all time that no one has, that they haven't sold a single one of. But like, that's a lot of pre-orders for any car. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a new business model. Sell cars you don't have. What's wrong with that?
Yeah. And with that, we are announcing pre-orders today for the Ike 3700, which is a luxury sports sedan van shooting brake that will be manufacturing in the next 6 to 12 years.
Get yours today. Now the Cybertruck has 1.25 million pre-orders.
That's a lot of pre-orders.
1.25 million. And they haven't stopped taking pre-orders, I don't think.
No, they're never going to stop. Never going to stop. Well, because they have to get to like 5 million pre-orders in order to start making the first one.
It's a Ponzi scheme. Modern business is just a Ponzi scheme.
It is amazing. It's really too bad.
Just start paying off those early investors. They'll never catch on.
That's exactly right. Yeah. No, I don't know. It'll be cool to see them both come out. I have a pre-order on both of them. I don't think I'm gonna go through with the Cybertruck, just because we need a shop truck. We got to replace our Ranger.
Where are you in the list of pre-orders on the Cybertruck? Just out of curiosity.
I think both cars I'm on the first day of pre-orders. I got them both pre-ordered the first day.
Just get the Cybertruck and sell it to somebody way back on the list. You'll make money.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. So if anybody's interested in a Cybertruck,
pre-order, you should sell the pre-order on the secondary market.
It's like selling Cybertruck futures. It's like, oh my God. Yeah. It's like options trading on car pre-orders. Well, that's a good idea. That is a good idea. Speaking of options trading on car pre-orders, our favorite car company, the variable Jaguar Land Rover, has announced that they're going to be partners for the World Championship Cup of Challenge of Rugby, which is a sport I know nothing about. Being from Canada, we don't really have rugby. We have lacrosse, which is played with a human head. I don't know, Ike, if you could potentially, because I know you are an expert, also do a podcast on rugby in your spare time. What are the rules? I mean, I get the sense that you sort of know how it's played.
I don't know that this is the venue to explain sporting events to you. I'm pretty sure there is a Canadian national rugby team, and they're just shaking their heads as they're listening to you saying that
I apologize.
You don't have rugby in Canada.
Very good chance they're from the East Coast, though, so they've already checked out.
I mean, for those listeners that are familiar with American football, I mean, the sense of the game, the feeling of the game is sort of similar. It's a bunch of big dudes that are running into each other, and but more specifically, or to a finer degree, they don't wear pads,
right?
The action is more continuous. They don't stop the action for quote unquote plays. Right.
They just keep going. They start in the morning and they go through early afternoon.
And you throw the ball backwards. You don't throw it forwards.
Only backwards.
That's true. It's kind of like a lateral in football. Where you can't throw a lateral forwards. It's similar to that, except it continues down the field in rugby.
I see, but backwards.
But it has to be backwards, not forwards.
I see. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. And do the sweaters, do they make a big difference? Like the fact that they're only wearing like sort of like gentleman's leisure wear?
It's a shirt. In fact, it's a rugby shirt.
Oh, it's a special kind of shirt.
It's not a rugby sweater.
Oh, I thought it was like a sweater material.
It isn't.
No, it isn't.
It's just a very durable shirt.
Oh, very durable shirt. Yeah. Okay. All right. Like made out of like sailing cloth or something.
Yeah, it's made out of sailing cloth.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because sailors play it.
Right. Yeah. Mostly sailors. That's at least how I understand it.
I think we should have a Steven Explains Rugby to someone else now. So it's like a game of telephone.
Yeah. Well, I get it figured out. Yeah, that's exactly.
It's going to be great.
Yeah, there's a cylindrical barrel somewhere in the stands that someone has to find and put the rugby shuttlecock in there.
Have you ever seen Calvin Ball from Calvin and Hobbes?
No.
It's exactly like that.
Oh, it's just like, oh, okay, all right. Well, yeah, there it is. Speaking of Calvin Ball, Ike, I know you're, we're both gearing up here for the winter break, if you will, and I know you're gonna get a car ready to go out. I'm just going out to the desert as well, but not out of civilization.
Where are you going?
Quite the same way that you are. I'm just going to Palm Springs.
I want to visit your family.
Just going out. Yeah,
that's nice. I'm avoiding all my family.
Yeah, no, that's for the best. Yeah, it makes sense.
But I think my family's coming to see you.
Oh yeah. No, they're going to be with us. Yeah, they're all coming down. Jenna as well. Linus's new girlfriend. They're all coming over to the house.
It's going to be great.
Yeah, and you're going to have a solitary time out in the desert by yourself.
Oh, it's going to be so rejuvenating.
But in your dormobile, if you can get it to work.
That's true. Yeah, I'm working on the dormobile. Dormobile has not been operational in a while. I have a '66 dormobile, which is kind of a nice vintage. It's that early '66, so it has the banjo wheel.
It was a good year. Real smoky flavors in that dormobile from '66.
It's more moldy flavors than smoky, if I'm being completely honest. But it's
very fruit forward.
It's got the sink and the stove and the folding seats and all that stuff. And now it has a working transmission. I broke the transmission, no shit, like a block from the Mexico U.S. border, and I drove it all the way home in fourth gear. And a lot of people are like, how'd you do that? And when you break a Land Rover lay shaft, for those of you that haven't done it, you still have fourth gear because it drives directly through the main shaft. So I drove it starting in low range, fourth gear, shifting to low range fourth gear overdrive, then shifting to high range fourth gear, and then high range fourth gear overdrive.
Right.
So it's a lot of fucking around. There's a lot of,
which is also the name of your folk band, Low Range High Fourth Gear.
Oh, I thought you meant a lot of fucking around. That is also the name of my secondary folk band project.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, with just the drummer and the jazz flute player in that one, which is a nice pan combo,
flute.
I have to say.
It's a pan flute.
Yeah, you guys have got some good stuff. Yeah, the nose flute. You guys have got some good stuff.
Skin flute. At any rate, So that's how it works. And drove it from Mexico all the way home to Oregon, and I'm going to try not to do that again. So
with an improvised 4-speed transmission.
Transmission. It worked. It worked, but it probably wasn't so good on the overdrive.
The anything really, I imagine.
No. Yeah. But that AAA bill from Mexico is pretty
it's a doozy.
Pretty substantial.
Well, speaking of the AAA bill from Mexico, Ike, I'm going to say expertly transitioned today so far as the segues go. I'm just going to go ahead and mention that. We have, without question, one of the most legendary competitors in the venerable Camel Trophy, the Olympics of off-road driving. If you want to tell me that again when you come up to me at a car show with a Camel Trophy truck, it will be the first time I've ever heard it. So I appreciate your input. Gentleman with a Ferrari jacket. It's always a guy with a Ferrari jacket. He mentions it's the Olympics of off-road. Anyways, so Bob Ives, seriously, huge guest. Can't believe it. I believe he thinks he's on a Top Gear radio interview. So nobody let him know that he's just on our totally illegitimate, non-sanctioned podcast. But we are thrilled.
Yeah, we're actually broadcasting off the coast of Florida in international waters.
That's exactly. That's how we get away with it. That's how we do it. So we're on a pirate signal, and anything's legal in Florida anyway. You can get away with it.
That's true. That's actually true.
Yeah, that's no problem at all. So we're going to rev up the vintage 1989 interview machine, specially prepared, brought out of storage just for Bob to talk about all things Camel Trophy, the farm, bog clogs.
He's a national hero in England. Seriously,
really is.
I'm pretty sure he's like on the short list to be knighted, Sir Bob Ives.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
mm-hmm. We've got all kinds of protocol that we have to follow here to have Bob on the show, and so let's do it. Let's rev up the machine, and we'll get Bob dialed in here.
All right.
We are here with the legendary, I think it's fair to say, legendary Land Rover icon, Bob Ives, winner of the '89 Camel Trophy for Her Majesty's Great Britain, and all-around wonderful guy. First of all, I want to thank you for having Ike and I over to your farm, your home for an amazing Nick Dimbleby Camel Trophy book launch, which we've talked about a little bit in the past. But thank you for that. Thank you for hosting that, and welcome to the show.
Yeah, well, good to be with you guys. Yeah, I'm sorry we didn't catch up more at the weekend, but it was all a bit mad. But it's good to be here now.
Well, thanks for giving us the opportunity to catch up now. National and international hero Bob Ives here with us today. We're excited to talk to you a little bit about Land Rovers and Camel Trophy and a lot of other things.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff. So we always start, Bob, with a few preset questions to help everybody understand your preferences when it comes to the green oval. So first of all, why Land Rover? Of all of the cars in the world that you could be interested in, why the Land Rover?
We grew up on the farm, but unlike a lot of farming people, we never had a Land Rover on the farm. We didn't have any 4x4s. We had an old mini pickup, which, if you know, kind of British Leyland type stuff, it was a little mini pickup, which would be awesome to have had to keep now, but that's sadly gone. But bizarrely, it was in Sanglo. It was a camel-coloured mini pickup, which we kind of put mud and snow tyres on the front of it because it's only front-wheel drive, and used to kind of do all of our off-roading in this little mini pickup, and which was awesome little thing. It would go everywhere around the farm. Pretty amazing, obviously, lack of clearance, which occasionally you'd have to kind of kick the floor pan down again after you've been over a big stone. So it was, but it used to go anywhere. And then I guess when I was 19, I wanted to go to Australia, wanted to travel a bit anyway, and took off to Australia with some old family contacts out there. Started working on farms, had a year out there, booked a year visa, and the farm I was on had an old Land Cruiser Trayback, which I kind of an old, I can't what's in old 70, well, they were 475 series, I think, really old one.
45 series, yeah.
45, yeah, right, yeah, cool, that's it. They were straight six petrol in it, and basically when I finished farm work in Western Australia, I put a 44-gallon drum full of petrol on the back of that thing, and just and with swag in the back of it, and just in the old Trayback, and just drove across Australia and kind of picked up work and ended up, using that for the rest of the year, and then came home and thought, I really like my four-wheel drives, and I'm in the UK, so I'm not going to find a Land Cruiser, so I just bought a Land Rover, and that was it, really, as they say, it's history.
Yeah,
so,
you were locked in ever since. So the Land Rovers that you have currently, you have a fairly extensive collection. Maybe just what are the, obviously you have one very noteworthy Land Rover still, but what are the Land Rovers that you have currently? What's sort of the synopsis of the stable? Literally, it is a stable as well, which I think is appropriate.
Yeah, I've got a few. Yeah, I mean, the very first Land Rover I ever bought when I came back from Australia was an old 2A short wheelbase, and H Reg in the UK. It's 1970, and I which I moved on for an early two-door Range Rover, then quite a rough one, which I kind of trialled and got my dad to go halves with me so he could go and use it for going to see his nice guests, and I'd kind of use it trialling at the weekends and try and keep it straight, and we kind of shared that between us, and then they've all sadly gone now, but I've actually got back and found a 2A Series 2A short wheelbase, almost identical, same reg and everything as the one I first had, something which I've got now still. So that's kind of oldest, most precious one, I guess. We've obviously got our Camel, which is great. I've got my new Defender now, which is in the UK is the D240, which is fabulous, one of the early ones, done about nearly 20,000 miles in it now, and unlike a few I've heard of, this one's been absolutely fault free and just a fabulous daily driver. And it's been some serious off roading where we've been doing recce's for film shoots in Wales and Scotland and things. So so that's cool. And then there's various. I've got a 1 ton as well, waiting restoration in the store. We picked up a few years ago. It's an early 6-cylinder 1 ton. I think it's 19. It's about 1971, 2A. So that's kind of needing a bit of work on it. Chassis is pretty rotten, but it's an unusual one. It's got air compressors under the bonnet and things on it, and a weird.
Cool.
I don't know all the history of that yet. It's got a big factory winch on it as well. That would be a nice one when it's done.
Very cool.
The various discos around series, the early ones of the Conran interiors. They're all kind of off the road now, but just kind of tucked away in sheds. My son's as mad as me. He buys more things than I do. He's got a 2-door Range Rover, which is kind of half racered, with a roll cage in it and things, which he's kind of trying to put back on the road one day. And what else we got? Oh, it's just there's various Land Rovers in various states of disrepair.
Every corner you seem to turn there at the Ives farm, there's another a couple of Land Rovers tucked away somewhere. It's a real.
My son did count up the other day. I think it's 12 or 13 discos of ones and twos. So usually for spares for Land, for defenders.
I was going to say, which the culmination of that is one running Land Rover.
This sounds like a terminal affliction.
It is, I'm afraid now, and I say I've passed it on to my son, so
it's hereditary. That's
So with all these Land Rovers and all this experience that you've had with 4-wheel drives, what would you say is your favorite one?
It is the new one. I mean, I do absolutely love it. I love a series, but if you want to, it's that eternal question: what would if you only had one car, what would it be? Right. But then if you want to drive around the world, and what would what vehicle would that be as well? So, but at my current age, I quite like a bit of comfort and a bit of a heated seat in the mornings. So the new one is fabulous. And I did a drive up to Scotland for a film shoot, and when I first had it, and I thought, I'll just see how good this thing is, and I brim filled the tank the night before, got up early in the morning, made sure I didn't have a cup of tea, so I wasn't going to need to stop for a pee or anything. And I just drove 420 miles, I think it was, in 6.5 hours non-stop, and got out of my friend's house in just next to Edinburgh. And I did need a pee by then, and I did need a break. But, it was, you wouldn't have done that in an old Land Rover sort of thing. So, it was, pretty impressive, really.
I would, but...
Ike would, but there's a special kind of disorder at work there. Well, we talked to our mutual good friend Jeremy Hart, not but a couple of episodes ago, and he actually said, he was thinking about the new Defender, wasn't sure about it, and gave you a ring, and you said, no, it really is, it's the thing, and that's convinced him, and I think he had, equally wonderful things to say about the car. He loves it as well.
I mean, it's sad that it's not a true utility base vehicle like the original was, but it could never be. It could never be that vehicle anymore. I mean, it could be. It could have been based on a Disco 4 chassis with and make it into utility and trucks and truck cabs and things, which maybe would have been nice, but it would have been a lot more costly. And it's what it is now.
Are there people looking for that necessarily? Is there enough for the model to be considered successful, to sell a lot? Maybe not. I don't know, but it seems good. And you've done quite a bit of testing, if you will, or comparison to the new car and both the TDCR, the Puma, and the original Defender as well, all the way back to your Camel Trophy truck. And I think it's great. There's stuff on YouTube and that I've watched, and it's great. It really does, I think, speak to sort of how capable the car is, but at the same time, how good it is to actually spend time in it.
Yeah, I mean, and nothing, any new vehicle, and whether we mention the Grenadier or not, nothing can be without electronics these days, and nothing is going to be a fix it in the bush machine anymore. I know that thing's being pitched at that, but anyway, we'll wait and see.
Well, but actually, that's an excellent segue, because what are your thoughts on the Grenadier and on maybe the newest Geländewagen? Obviously, that's a pretty big spread between those two.
Yeah.
But what do you think about those cars?
Well, interestingly, it must be 3 or 4 years ago, I got invited to a Land Rover did an off-road user conference, which was using all their utility people were there. I had to go and do a presentation on kind of my use of it as part of the Camel Trophy thing and farming and that sort of stuff. And they had fire services there and police services and utilities all doing a pitch. We all had to do a pitch and then listen to Land Rover this was way before we ever knew what the new Defender was going to be like, one of the early incarnations of it. And at the time they were saying it's going to have independent front suspension, solid axle rear, a bit like some of the Japanese pickups. They were saying the new Defender was definitely going to have that. And we were going, okay, right. And pitching that, I did my pitch on really that even tractors now from the farming side of things, they're all full of electronics. You can't with emissions these days and with road vehicles, crash protection, all that. You can't have you can't have a tractor. You can't have an old series anymore or a sort of basic fix-it machine. Somewhere along the line there's going to be a computer involved, and somewhere along the line you'll get let down in the middle of nowhere with a some sensor that's gone wrong, and whatever it is, whether it's a BMW or a Mercedes or a Land Rover these days. So sadly that's just the way of the world. So unless you go and live in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of South America somewhere where you can just build a vehicle with an old stationary engine on it, driving a belt to a gearbox type of thing, it's moved on from there. So so we're faced with it, and I think they've done a great job with the new one. Hopefully reliability will tell. And
when you saw the new Defender for the first time, what were you skeptical about?
I guess, it's a big beast compared to a old Defender, as we want to call it. Around your country lanes around UK, what the lanes are like around the country.
Oh yeah, we trying to find the hedge that your farm was in was quite a harrowing journey there from Heathrow.
And, and an old Defender, you can kind of hammer down those lanes, and if something's coming towards you, you just kind of knock the wheels up against the verge and off you go again. Whereas the new one, you're going to do some body damage, so it's kind of
right.
But then it's much more crash worthy and all the rest of it. So, but it's when I first saw the new one, I did like the look of it. It's grown on me even more. I think it's obviously the rear interior space is an issue if you come out of a D3 or D4. It's not the same as that. Which those are great vehicles. I think they're still a fabulous vehicle, the D3 and D4 for overall style and practicality. That takes some beating. But obviously there'll be variants of the Defender coming along. There's the 130 coming along, which will be a bigger backspace. It is a narrow door in the back and all that stuff. But whether there will be a D130 double cab pickup of a Defender, I think that would be possible with a monocoque. Nobody's even mentioned or hinted it, but I think it could. That's a possibility. I could see the strength will be in the structure for that. It's not. It won't. I don't think we'll ever see a single cab pickup. Chassis cab. I don't know. It'd be great if there would.
Right.
Could be, but
Yeah,
the single cab pickups are disappearing here in the United States. They're almost gone. Everybody has a family or a dog or a whatever want to carry some gear inside, and almost every new offering of a pickup, from the electric Rivian to really anything, is a dual cab car.
Yeah, no, that's
it. And I don't think you can get. I don't think the new F-150 or even the newly announced Tacoma. No. These electric variants, they're all 4-door because Although I have to admit that I had a 109 Series 3 2-man truck cab, and it was like one of my favorite cars. Also in Canada, it got warm like 100 times faster than my station wagon cars, but because there was such a small airspace. But and also I suppose it's something to say that the new Defender is a car for the mass market that is looking for that car today, whereas the Defender of the 1980s was to be fair, a mass market car that was looking for a car like that back then. No, so there was an interesting show on the UK TV recently with the making of and its various different cars and things, and they had the Land Rover from the factory in Nitra, and that's a fascinating show. Actually, I just caught up with it the other day, and
Yeah, I mean, a wiring loom was, I think it was either 45 or 55 kilos inside, and they almost kind of, team brought it in, looked like a body bag into the interior, dropped it on the floor and then pulled out the pieces. And it was just, you thinking, wow, it's just like, staggering when they're trying to save weight these days and you've got a, 40 or 50 kilo, which is an old, 100 in UK money or whatever. Yeah. So,
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Staggering.
I still can't figure out why I have a slow blinker on the left side of the stage one. So I can't even imagine where to start in something like that. It's, that's a big job. Well, yeah, no. And I think, it's cool. It's interesting to see the new cars. I think there's a market for the Grenadier. I think that people will buy it, just like there's a market for the Geländewagen. Even though the Geländewagen, the G-Wagon is very capable off-road, I think maybe less than 1% of buyers would ever take it off-road, which is sort of interesting because it is, maybe it's the currently available, the most Defender-y shaped thing out there, but it's probably the least off-roaded car, with four-wheel drive.
But part of the Defender's magic was the fact that it was used by utility companies and maybe you saw it running around an airfield or something like that, and that sort of thing. And there's a few of them are doing that. I have seen there over here, being used.
Yeah, we saw some at the airport that were on the tarmac.
Yeah. That's really cool to see that sort of thing.
Cool.
And a few recovery companies using them, and it's a great trailer tower, so it's good for that sort of thing. But it obviously won't be used by the electricity companies, with stacked up with tools in the back, which is a shame because that is one of their selling, one of the Land Rover's points really, that it was a utility truck, isn't it? So
absolutely.
Or the fire service cars. I mean, those are always neat to see. A 6-wheel version of the new Defender is probably not in the car.
But I think that both military customers and utility customers are using larger platforms for that sort of work. Anytime you see a military vehicle or a utility vehicle, it's always on a much bigger chassis to support the weight of, whether it's armor or crew or whatever. Yeah. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to do that. And honestly, like most military conflicts are not fought with vehicles anymore. They're fought with satellites and laser beams and drones. It's all remote control anyway.
Yeah.
Well, certainly the replacement for the AM General Humvee here in the United States, now this new Oshkosh platform that they have, looks nothing like a car anymore. I mean, it is closer to a tank than it is to an automobile, which is funny because, the Humvee was the last of the Jeep, right? That was it. It could be traced all the way back to the way, much like the Land Rover. In the Wolf is really the last thing that can be traced all the way back to the sort of the Series 1. And now, that's all a different sort of
Interesting thing about Oshkosh, the owner of the Oshkosh Truck Corporation is a big Land Rover enthusiast. Has several Land Rovers. Really nice guy.
Okay.
Well, there you go. They're a great company. They make some neat stuff.
They absolutely do.
Cool.
Yeah, it's very cool
kit at Oshkosh. But I think we're remiss here, folks, if we don't admit that we've sort of buried the lead here on Mr. Ives, and that is, of course, the Camel Trophy, my favorite off-road event.
Sitting there, I just brought it down. And...
look at that!
I just happened to have this right here.
I just happened to have the winning trophy here of the. That's good to know. I love it. I love it, and fantastic to see one in person. I don't know how many people get an opportunity to actually see a Camel Trophy winning trophy in their lifetime. So it was again a real honor, but. I guess, I think in North America found out about Camel Trophy sort of in reading magazines, maybe later on seeing the videos in dealerships and things like that. We don't necessarily have the motor racing press here that you guys have, over there, and certainly through Europe where, it's a very prevalent thing. There's 10 different magazines a week published on some kind of motorsport. But where did you sort of first hear about, encounter, sort of find the Camel Trophy?
Yeah, well, I guess bizarrely, I when I came back from Australia, bought an old Series 2A, started doing some trialling with the UK as an all-wheel drive club, which I liked better than the Land Rover clubs because you were pitched against all sorts, anything from Suzuki SJs to old Jeeps. Literally, there were still a few wartime Jeeps around then. trialing things, and I love that kind of mixture. Really, you could go in there in a Land Rover and try and beat those guys or whatever. It wasn't just a Land Rover club. So I did a bit of that, and the same with the Range Rover as well. The first Range Rover, did a bit of that with that, and then I kind of obviously reading the off-road mags. There was bits about Camel Trophies, the early ones. This was way before there was a UK team. The first UK team was in '86. And so in 80, I guess in 82 and 3 and 4, I was reading about those first Camel Trophies in Borneo. The epic one where they had a helicopter when they all got flooded, and they had to take the doors off to make them light enough to helicopter out of the flooded area. And there was US teams taking part then in those very early ones, I believe. Yeah. And I seriously at the time thought, do I take try and get home, been to Australia a couple of times? Do I try and go to the States for a visa and work there and try and get onto it? From that, I was quite determined to get onto it. I guess I hadn't appreciated now how much I was trying to get onto it. But and then when the first UK team, I filled in the selection in '84 for the 80. Sorry, I've got my head wrong there. For the first one anyway, I filled in the selection form, sent it off, and got picked. For those very first UK selections for the Australia event, and ended up being, I think it was 24 of us up in Hull in the middle of winter. It was always, the selections always took part in the grimmest part of the year, usually in the crappiest conditions. Somewhere, tenting out in a field, in a muddy field, and took part in that first year selection along with a load of guys that turned up in later life in the UK. Duncan Barber, who was obviously,
yes, our good friend Duncan Barber. He worked on Game of Thrones with me and did of course the bat camera car was we used extensively through shooting. And, Duncan's a good friend.
He was on those first selections with me. Ronnie Dale, him and his son both involved with Land Rover quite extensively. Doing his son Doug Dale now is very very involved with Land Rover. And set up the new Defender launch. I think helped set up that in Namibia. So these guys were around right from the start, really, which is amazing, really, and it's been an amazing network ever since then. But I didn't get picked on that first year. I didn't get into the finals, but learned. It was a very steep learning curve because nobody in the UK had taken part in it, and it was. I turned up in wellies, boots, rubber boots, and thinking that I had no idea what was happening, and we're in the middle of this muddy farmer's field in the middle of winter, and we were all bundled in the back. At one point of it, we were all bundled in the back of a hardtop one. Oh, not it might have been a 110. It was a 110. Yeah, of course it was. And with no windows in it, all the back windows blanked out, and literally driven off. We were just driven off and dropped off in pairs at various points. We didn't know how far from the camp we were or anything, and we had a blank sheet of paper, and I hadn't done a lot of orienteering then. With literally, it was north on it. We had a compass with us, but we had north on it and nothing else. And where the camp was, where we were now, and absolutely no instructions on distance or anything. And so basically, we had to sort of take a compass bearing off this bit of paper. That was the only bit of information you could glean from it. We were with a pair. Luckily, I was with an ex guy who'd done a little bit of military stuff, so he did know his orienteering. And we turned out we were 16. Us pair was 16 miles from the camp. I had a pair of rubber boots on, which was really, really stupid, and then eventually had to make our way back in a straight line to camp. We were probably trespassing most of the way, and eventually got back to camp, and my whole of each heel was a blister, sort of thing. It was just, so it was a pretty steep learning curve that first year, so I didn't get picked, but it was with got to be good friends with Jerry Gatley, who was at our weekend the other day, who was in the first team and all that sort of thing. So. And we learned a lot from those guys, or from that taking part in that year, that then helped me get onto it later on, really. So,
and you didn't just get onto it by yourself, but you and your brother, which I think is significant. I think Ian Chapman said for that year, '89, there was 1 million applicants for the 28 seats that were available on the trophy, and you and your brother managed to form the is it the only sibling team ever?
No, there's actually a South African sibling team that took part. Interestingly, I think whether they were trying to mimic us or not, I don't know, but
right. You guys don't hang out? You don't have a Camel Trophy Siblings club meets every so often? Or so how is it that you managed, both you and Joe, to get on to the something is 1 million to 28 chance of getting in, and you both managed to get through?
Bizarrely, the off-roading was more my thing, really. My brother wasn't quite into it. He was more into sort of track day cars and stuff like that, really, than the off-roading. But he was, the time I took part in the first selection, he was in Australia, in the US doing a year out, like I'd done, working around and things. He'd come home then and thought, I'll have a go at that. And he ended up in the selections as well. And we did the selections. He actually then became in the final 3 to Ian Chapman. He was a reserve to Ian Chapman and George B. And I was really pissed off with it. I didn't speak to him for about 3 weeks afterwards because he just kind of come back, thought he'd have a go and kind of beat me. So I was pretty mad at him for getting that far in something that it wasn't really his kind of thing, and then but he didn't get on the team that year anyway. And then we both took part again the next year, and we both got in the final 4 along with Mark Day and Jim Benson, who actually made the team. We couldn't believe that that one of us didn't get in the team with one of those, because they announced one of the names first, and then we thought, we looked at each other and thought, well, it's going to be one of us too, and then it wasn't. And we thought, shit, why are they having us back for these selections if they don't actually want us, kind of thing? They're not going to pick us. We thought they must think we're suitable. Right. Okay, we'll have another go the following year, and we both took part the following year. I got in the final 6 or 4, whatever it was, final 4. My brother didn't that year. In the year we actually went on the trophy. And then the international selections, which was another further stage of the publicity for Camel, as it was all cigarettes then, obviously, and advertising. We had the international selections were in Tenerife, which is one of the islands off Africa, Spanish-owned islands. Yep. And the international selections there, we had a free day before our spell on the selections, if you like. And myself and my brother had both been there as a family holiday when we were young kids. And my dad had taken us up it's a volcanic island, big volcano in the middle, and fantastic road up to the volcano at the top. So this free day, I suggested to the 3 guys that I was on the selection with, I said, let's, should we hire a mini moke and head up the mountain for a day out? So little and typical boys on tour, adrenaline going before the selections the next day. We were sort of herring up this mountain, and we'd all been messing around a little bit, I guess, driving this mini moke at different times, and then we basically went round a corner a bit too wide and had a head on with a bus, and.
Oh no!
Oh no!
And we had all been driving at different times and all been doing kind of silly things, but luckily I wasn't driving at the time. I was in the back that time and sat down, and I just piled into the seat in front of me. The guy driving, which is actually Simon Day, Mark Day's brother, at that point cut his wrist through to the artery, sort of thing, quite nasty. The other guy in the front cut both shins through to the bone on a steel parcel shelf. If anybody knows a mini moke, there's not a lot of crash protection in a mini moke.
No,
the other guy in the back was just slightly, I don't know if he was sitting up a little bit taller than me, but he smashed his jaw on the roll bar. We had the top folded down. So it was pretty nasty. And we were back 2 hours from the nearest ambulance station, or it was a long time before anybody got to us. Luckily there was a car with British nurses in behind the bus. They looked after us all. We eventually all got back down to the hospital. I was just bit bruised and shaken, just basically holding on to these other guys in the ambulances and things, getting them back down to keeping them conscious till we got back down to the hospital, covered in blood, with the guy that smashed his jaw was been all over my legs and things, and I got a taxi from the hospital back to the hotel as the officials were walking out of the hotel, as I kind of walked up to the steps, and I said, sorry guys, been a bit of an accident, 3 of the guys are in hospital. And they went, nah, you're joking. And then they kind of looked at the blood on me and went, oh shit, what do we do now, kind of thing. We've got one participant left for the selections, and they said that they said, stay in your room, we'll think about it. And they kind of came back an hour later and said, do you think your brother was in the selections? He wasn't in the fight. He was almost the final 5th or 6th one. He wasn't in the final 4. So how do you think could he get on a plane out to Tenerife really quickly? And he's basically in the team. So it wasn't undeserved, because he'd been there. He'd been reserved to Chapman and B. He'd been reserved to Mark Day the year before with myself, and he was in the finals again, not quite the final 4. So, it was by default, but it wasn't out of place, if you know what I mean, to be in the team with him. So there we go. That's the
So how much did you have to pay the bus driver?
Yeah, that's been asked a few times before, but luckily on Simon Day, brilliantly went on and runs D3 now, and runs a lot of selections for G4 and all those things since. So it's all come good. And I still speak to one of the other guys. So it's they're all involved with the Land Rover world. So it's been it was a bit of a tragedy at the time, but it's
nice.
So
wow,
yeah,
that's a great.
That
thing.
is a crazy story. I did not expect that.
Oh, the Mook, man! You got to look out for those things. They're a death
So
trap.
do you guys share custody of the trophy afterwards?
The trophy behind me, the wooden kind of pyramid thing, is we got one of those each, myself and my brother. The trophies changed over the years. They became fantastic silver model things that you didn't get to keep. No. This is just a big heavy wooden pyramid it's pretty cool. So it's nice to have, and you get to keep it. So unlike the silver trophies, which kind of had to go back. So
yeah.
Cool.
Where are those trophies now in the world? Where did they ones that they end
I'm not
up?
sure if somebody in the club's got them, or they're on loan to somebody, or Nick Horn has them or something. I'm not quite sure where they are now. They're pretty special, those ones. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Myself and my brother, we went out there. We the management as well, because it was the fourth year that UK was entered trophy, and we kind of knew what we were doing a bit more by then. By doing those selections the years before, we'd had a lot of Land Rover training every year in the previous selections. And then the management put a lot into training us, so we knew what to do with the road books and all the time distance things we have to do, calculations. So we kind of were pretty well prepared. And my brother he did all the kind of calculation stuff while we were driving. I did the driving on the stages, something of the special stages that we have. And the two journos we have with us as well, we got them all sort of trained doing little bits and pieces as well, because all four of you are in the car doing anything from the time sort of selection sort of stuff to on the trophy. So it's pretty cool.
And I heard a story from one of the journalists that rode with you that, and we'll get more into the detail of the, the mud and the rain and all that business, but that, the fatigue sets in pretty significantly after a few days of 4 hours of sleep and slogging through the mud and all of that, that you had fallen asleep once and sort of woken to thinking that the bridge under you was collapsing. In fact, that's just what you were dreaming about. And that that same journalist had almost pushed your brother off the roof, thinking he was pushing a Land Rover in his sleep. So I mean, how close is that relationship with those with those journalists? How much a part of the team?
Yeah, no, they really are. They have
folks?
to be. The four of you are in the car, and everything is in that car. Even your clean kit to fly home in sort of 2.5-3 weeks later. So, you've got to form a strong bond, and you've got to get on with them. And it's some of the other teams, different countries, were managed by almost, they had a manager in the car with them, managing them, which I really felt sorry for those guys, because they were sort of almost, told to go and have a sleep now. You've got a special stage tomorrow, so take it easy and all that sort of stuff. We were on just such an adrenaline high that, it was a real case of, you can sleep on the plane on the way home kind of thing. We're just going to, this is your one chance. You only get one chance at it. You don't get, there's never a second chance. So you just want to, you just got to make the most of it and have a ball. And we were helping people out, and as well as being really focused for the special stage bits, the rest of the journey is just a get everybody through, team building thing. So you kind of, getting stuck into that as well. And Mike Calvin and Mark Payne, who's sadly not with us anymore, the photographer with us, were a great part of the team, really. And we had, even when we had a real system going for if we had a puncher, we didn't have it very often, but during a special stage, we had the high lift jack lying down on the floor in the back of the 110 on the floor, which is probably pretty dangerous, because if we'd rolled it probably would have killed a couple of us. But and then we had we had two wheel spanners. So if we had a puncher, one was out getting the high lift jack going, one was undoing the punctured tire, one was undoing the tire off the rear door, and so all four of us were doing something. And literally, we had a Formula One kind of pit stop for a tire change, which actually on the very, very last stage of the event, where we were kind of equal with the Spanish to start with, we both had punchers, and the Spanish tried to continue with their flat tire, and we just stopped and changed it, and then we ended up winning, not necessarily because of that, but we had that real stuff practiced down to the fine art to try and sort of save a bit of time where we could, really. So
Wow, that's amazing. So, well, let's talk a little bit then about the first the Amazon. Then we'll talk about special stages a little bit. But first, the Amazon. It's often been said that the '89 Amazon trip was both the rainiest and muddiest. That maybe not the most rain, but certainly the most mud. Can you talk a little bit about what was the most challenging thing that the Amazon, because obviously there's, the sleep deprivation, there's the mental hardness, there's all that sort of stuff, but physically that environment, what was the toughest part in your mind about?
It's a long time ago now. It's over 30 years ago. But I don't remember it being kind of tough at the time. We really were on a high, and it was just when you see the pictures now, we were literally just drenched in mud. We sort of gaffer taped the bottom of our trousers to our boots to stop the mud kind of getting inside your boots and things. And we were just drenched and mud sodden all the time, really. And but it was a case of, like I say, it was 2.5 weeks on the event itself, and just make the most of it, really. And but we did, it was relentless at times. I mean, when we had tractors pulling us through, and there was times when we had the A bars that everybody carried, the A bars, and maybe everybody's seen them. I don't know. You hook the A bars in, and the theory being with 2 Land Rovers you make an 8-wheel drive, or 3 Land Rovers you make a 12-wheel drive. But on one of the first mud bits we got to, right. I don't know if it was a new idea for our year, but Ian Chapman or somebody said, right, hook the Land Rovers together. We're going to try this. I think we had 3 cars together, so 12-wheel drive, system. And so we all hooked them together, bored into this long bit of muddy bit, and got all 3 cars completely bogged. And they're, twisted up at sort of angles, so that then trying to get the pins out of these A bars was virtually impossible to disconnect them. So it was you've got 3 cars stuck, and you can't pull 3 cars out with one winch. So it's a great idea in theory, but not quite so good in practice, maybe, or on a road with a car down. But it was, things like that were hard work, and the mud just did go on and on and on, and became sort of, at times you just think, geez, how much longer is this? We were working all through the night and then sleep in the day, and at times I get frustrated because we were almost then. Nobody was getting up and getting moving till 9 or 10 in the morning. You missed sort of 3 or 4 hours daylight, but we've been working through to 3 in the morning the previous night. So you think it would be much more sense to set the alarm clocks at 4 o'clock, get up early, make the most of daylight, because everything's much easier in daylight. We all know what it's like off-roading in the dark when things start going wrong. It kind of just becomes magnified problems. Potholes start disappearing into the track, and you end up making a bad call. No, for sure. Well, no, it's amazing, and even with all of the lights and everything, I mean, and possibly that's the reason. Yeah. It sure does look cool at night with all of those lights and everything on the cars and everybody covered in mud. But it was quite the thing to see. So let's talk a little bit about special tasks. So obviously the special stages, special tasks is sort of where you quote unquote win the camel trophies. You guys obviously have a good knack for it. What was your favorite one to do, and what was sort of your least favorite one to do? Our year was the new. They brought in Terry Harriman, who was a rally driving specialist, to develop these special tasks, because previous years when Ian Chapman did it, anybody that's watched those events, there was a lot of problems where the track would deteriorate incredibly. There was maybe just a quick driving run through a forest, and then it would get chewed up, and the last ones would be winching through, and where took the first ones 10 minutes, it would take the later ones, an hour and a half or something. So completely unfair. So they brought in this special stage sort of rally book style thing to try and even it all up and make it fair for everybody. And the idea was to do it could have been from 5 kilometers. It was all in kilometers because it's, nice and easy for us to work out, because it's all 10 times, mathematics and stuff, it's 1,000 meters in a kilometer and all this stuff. But it's, and the vehicles had terror trips for the first time, which recording literally meters on the screen, down to your meters. And if you reverse, you can reverse it. So subtract the meters and all this stuff, but it only works off the speedo cable. So if you've got your wheels spinning in mud, it's, complete bollocks really, because it just, goes out the window. But it's, so they start a task, maybe 26 kilometers, and you'd have to try and do an average, they set an average speed for it. So if you do 26 kilometers at an average speed of 40 kilometers per hour, you will do it in this exact time. And theoretically, you will be at 12 kilometers in exactly the right time if you're doing that exact speed the whole time. So the idea was to try and do that exact speed for the whole of the 26 kilometers, but they'd throw in a mud bit where you'd have to winch or something at some point like that. So you'd suddenly come upon this, and then you knew you'd have to go like hell and calculate then when you were meant to be if the mud hole was at 2 kilometers, you'd have to calculate when you try and get back on time by 3 or 4 kilometers, because you knew somebody would probably jump out the trees then and do a flying kind of checkpoint where they know that if you've done it at the exact time, you should be there at that exact time. But if you've just been through a mud hole, you then got to do 60, 70 kilometers an hour to try and get back onto your average speed time very quickly. So very much a mathematical brain tease type of thing. And I'm just there driving, which is the fun bit. I'm enjoying that. My brother and the other guys in the back are all doing the calculations, trying to work out that at 3.6 kilometers, we can get back onto our time as quickly as we can. So I'd race like hell until they calculated that I was back on the right time, and then I'd have to slow down to the average speed again. So all complicated stuff. Right. But that was their theory for the tasks on our particular year. So the best tasks were the longest driving ones, the more rally type ones, because it's a great bit of fun, and you can try and pick a nice bit of line through some mud holes and not get stuck and that kind of stuff. But in places, as anybody's seen the video, my brother would have to get out, swim across the river, pick up some metal pegs, bring them back in the car, which then you've been stationary for a spell, so then you've got to go faster again to get back in time after that. And so it was brilliant fun, and great. All those tasks were great fun, really. I don't think it was really one we didn't enjoy. We kind of, obviously your adrenaline's up and you get nervous about them, but it was just, it's a real buzz to do that sort of stuff. And so it was, it was cool. Yeah.
Well, how would you say all this experience, the Camel Trophy and special tasks and travel and so forth, how would you say that changed your life that had nothing to do with off-road driving?
I guess after Australia, got into the off-road driving, and then I got into Camel Trophy, and everybody says it changes your life, and I suppose it does. But if I hadn't gone it, I'm sure I would have done something somewhere. I mean, I did a UAE Desert Rally in a 300 horsepower 110 later on and things like that, and a Spanish Baja and things. So I probably would have got into those sooner if I hadn't have done Camel Trophy and things, and maybe a Paris Dakar, which I would have loved to have done. So I think if you're determined enough, and it's a great expression. I have a great debate with some other old camel guys about whether you make your own luck or not. And an old friend of mine says, "No, you don't make your own luck. It just happens." And I said, "No, it doesn't. You make your own luck because you have a certain attitude. You'll make an opening, or you're literally a door will open because you've said yes to somebody and not no, or you kind of by doing something you'll open a door and your luck will luck theoretically hopefully will come your way." So, and I think. It has changed my life, obviously, because it's where I am near here now, and that great weekend we had here. But I would have done something else. It may not have been anything that I won an award for. I don't know, but I would have done something adventurous, I'm sure. So just because I love doing that sort of thing. So so how much it changed my life, who knows? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess. Well, it certainly has impacted the Land Rover enthusiasts and the Camel Trophy enthusiasts' lives for sure. Because your event is one of certainly one of my favorites, and that's largely due to you and your brother's contribution to the videos and all of that stuff. As I think everyone grew up with Camel. Of course, being from Canada, we were never allowed to compete, so I had to admire it from afar. But certainly an inspiration for adventure and expeditions and all of that. All that sort of stuff. Speaking of which, what do you think? I know you're involved with the new Land Rover Trophy, and Michael Bishop was nice enough to show us around the Classic Works where they're building all of the classic Defender, if you will, vehicles. I've seen some of the new generation Defender vehicles here in the United States. So what's exciting about that program? What sort of led you to want to be involved in that?
Dimbleby as well, actually, when he called us up and was doing a photo shoot with a new one, and said we got to Eastnor and do a promo for it about a year ago. It was actually, I think, which was terrific. That's the first thing I knew they were rebuilding the whatever we want to call them, the trophy Defenders. Rebuilding the old Defenders as new ones. We knew it was happening, and at the time didn't know there was going to be a trophy for it. So. We got invited up for that photo shoot by Nick Dimbleby and Simon Day. They're obviously running that as well through his D3 company, and so it's great to catch up with him again. And we did a great photo shoot with our one and the new one together. And I haven't heard an awful lot about the selections for this new one. I know Mike Bishop said that anybody that buys one has got to take part in it. You can't. Yeah.
They're required to take part in it. Maybe can you elect a third party to take part in it for you if maybe you don't want to? I'm sure there's some people who are buying. That car who don't necessarily want to do
car.
that.
There'll be a lot of people who just want to add it to their collection in Dubai or something. I should imagine that they'll probably send their driver to
That's exactly right. Yes.
Whether they want to trash it and bash it.
I'll put it out there right now. Ike and I are happy to fill in for whatever Saudi prince may be interested in reaping the benefits of Ike and I destroying their $200,000 car at Eastner. We're happy to do it for you.
Yeah, I did say to
we'll do an
Mike
episode.
Bishop, I said, any chance of a bit of a discount, but it wasn't quite enough discount really to yeah, but no.
I can't imagine. Yeah, I mean, it would be. We'd love to have them here, but just can't. You just can't. It's 25 years.
No, it's a terrific idea and great on for doing it. I think they're calling them trophy defenders or whatever, or but they, the color they're not calling Sanglo. It's Eastnor, I don't know what it is, something or other. Yeah. So.
Eastner yellow or something.
Sandglow's like trademarked or something.
I mean, before they ran out the old defenders, I did have communications with a few Land Rover guys trying to do a last edition of a 110 in a Sanglo colour and call it Sanglo Trophy or something, but it never got anywhere. Sadly, it would have been tremendous to have done it, but or got a few together and do some limited edition ones or something. But never mind. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like a cool event. It's fun just to have a product that reminds people, that the Camel Trophy took place, and to go back and appreciate it for what it was. I don't think we'll ever see an event quite like that again. I don't think that from a climate standpoint, a number of territories that it was run in really aren't safe to go to anymore. I think there's lots of reasons now, but it certainly was, and the films are amazing, and that contribution certainly was incredible. So, but before we get to, I'm sure something every listener has been hotly anticipating, Ike's lightning round questions. Do you have anything new going on? I've seen on the internet a video of you and the Fresh Prince driving around in a new Defender in the desert. A bit of a mishap perhaps with the new Defender. A lot of people don't realize that hitting sand at any kind of speed is like hitting a brick wall. So I read a comment or something of like, it's only sand, why would it break? And like, that's obviously somebody who hasn't popped into a sand hole going any kind of speed and realized that it doesn't matter what you're driving, it's like hitting a brick wall.
Yeah, that was a call out of the blue, and it was amazing. Ex Top Gear producers involved with that show now, and big NDA forms to sign obviously before they told me about it, and it was just to get involved with that one show of that particular one because he was off-road driving. So and originally it was going to be in hired Land Cruisers, I think, or whatever they could find in Namibia, but through Kim Palmer at Land Rover, we managed to get them in touch, and I said, get in touch with them, they might be able to do something, and coincidentally they were just literally shipping new Defenders out to Namibia for their the JLR adventure drive holidays that they do, and so the timing was fabulous. I think they rushed the new Defenders out there. They had a couple because we were using them as support cars as well. So I think we had 3 brand new identical white new Defender 110s out there with the roof racks on and a bit of kit on them to make them look sort of cool as well, and it was tremendous really. So I was going to say a crash course in how to drive on the sand dunes. It literally was, but
literally was. And how is Will as an off-road driver, besides the one clip, and of course that's the only thing that anyone will ever share or talk about, but generally speaking, he's a pretty decent off-road driver. He seems like a fairly capable individual given the scope and depth of this Welcome to Earth show that he's doing on it's a Disney I think it's a Disney Plus show, from what I've seen, first of all, it's shot gorgeously. I know a couple of the folks that are shooting it, and it looks great, and definitely watch. If you have Disney Plus, definitely watch. It's a great show. But how is he otherwise? How'd you rate his off-road driving, excluding
it was
one
cool,
mishap?
I didn't know how much of a driver he'd be, but he was cool, and him and his co-star as well. We had to sort of teach them both a bit, and we had a guy leading us around in a quad bike to start with, just to because dipping off the top of dunes can be pretty scary stuff, sort of thing. So, you don't know what there's on the other side. And for filming, obviously, things got to be pretty continuous, so you can't just kind of stop and start too much. So, but no, it was cool. He, and genuinely seemed a really nice guy. He was stopping off to say hello to people, but we were all in a little COVID bubble theoretically, but even at the airport when he landed, he kind of stopped off, took selfies with people and said hello to them. He wasn't at all above himself, which was tremendous really to see that. He could have easily just been very aloof and but not at all. Genuinely seemed to be genuinely interested. And it's a big old crew filming that thing. It's 50 or 60 people all together out in the desert. So it's and he was
it's a big show.
Genuinely really good and cool driver as well. He had his entourage with him as well. Sort of, as well as the main film crew filming the show. There's 2 or 3 guys hovering around him, filming all his day-to-day Instagram and all the rest of the stuff, which you kind of,
Of course, you must. Yeah. Well, not unlike Ike. In fact, there's you can't see them, but there's 15 people around him right now that take care of the Instagram, the look generally. There's a hair and makeup wardrobe department.
This takes a lot of work.
Famously on that clip, there was one of the guys in the back of the Defender at the time, and I had said, guys, you need your seatbelts on, but we were doing laps of this little training circuit, and they were all kind of jumping in and out at different times, and it was a job for me to keep my head on what I was trying to do, because there was this entourage of people that were just almost bombarding him the whole time. How he concentrated on what he was doing, I don't know really. But and the guy in the back in that clip famously sort of nearly coming through the front windshield was he's all the Land Rover, there's loads of comments. He should have had his seatbelt on. Yeah, he should have had his seatbelt on. I should have been making sure of that. Sure, I know. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
my fault.
Whatever. Yeah, it's fine. That's fine. I don't remember that gentleman's name, but he's a relatively famous photographer from New York. Just about through the windshield of the Defender. But that's what you get. That's why you wear your seatbelt, kids. It's very important to buckle up. And so, besides that, Bob, anything going on? I know you have both the wild tracks, and is it your son that does the extreme 4-wheel drive? Is it your brother? Where does that
with the dairy farm pretty full on? And he started family a lot later, so he's got 3 young kids to keep him occupied. And I think he's only got has he got 3 or 4 Land Rovers on his side of the family? So he's pretty limited really. So he's got a nice. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, he's got
only 3 or 4.
D4 Discovery and a nice 130 double cab pickup, which is kind of. And then a 110 high cap pickup on the farm, and another little 110 double cab pickup for farm use. So he's kind of that's his. Oh no, actually, his wife's got an Evoque, of course. So it's 5 Land Rovers. Yeah, like you do, So, but no, he's busy tied up with that and not much off roading kind of stuff. He's more of a track day guy if he goes off playing. But my son's he's into the extreme kind of winch challenge truck stuff and his discos. And apart from the farming here, we've got no animals on the farm here, so he just does workshop Land Rover stuff in the winter and keeps him occupied and earning more money than the farming does. So so that's his bit of it. And so it kind of keeps us busy really on the the Land Rover side of things really. And if you've got Land Rovers, there's always something to repair, as they say. So
It is. It'll never making mechanics out of everyday people since 1948. So, Ike, the time in the show has come. This is as I'm sure you've heard. Bob read in various publications, one of the most rigorous lightning round questionings that anyone could be subjected to. So, Ike, without further ado, take it away.
Yeah, Bob, I know you've been in a lot of tricky situations, but this might be the most intimidating of your off-roading career. This is the lightning round, and we have a few short questions, and just short answers is just fine. So, without any further ado, here we go. Are you ready? All right.
Diesel, I'm afraid.
Gas or diesel?
Love the smell of diesel in the mornings.
Nice. Sand glow
definitely.
or bronze green?
Don't like green.
Nice. Okay. All right. This one might be a little controversial. Worn or husky?
It was our event winch, 8274,
yes,
all day long. Yep.
That's my hometown crowd here in Portland, Oregon. Okay. Actually, Clackamas is worn winches, so I appreciate that. Favorite place you've traveled?
South America's amazing. African countries amazing. I'm afraid. Sorry, Australia's amazing. The next place, I'll say. Yeah.
The next place. Good answer.
Copy.
And finally, the best way to get gear oil out of your underwear? Burn it. Good answer. All right. Nice work.
It's a popular answer. All right. Well, Bob, hey, thank you so much for your time. We genuinely appreciate it, and your contribution to Land Rovering in general. And we'd love to, if there's something new coming up in the world, or you think of another clever anecdote, we'd love to have you on again at some point in the future. And
or better yet, have you over here to the States for one of our patented Death Valley adventures in crusty old Land Rovers.
Nearly the end of Nick Dimbleby, and so we're all about having Ike almost kill famous members of the Land Rover community.
We just had Nick Dimbleby over the Black Rock Desert. It was
we're
great.
Come over for one of the Overland shows next year, myself and my son. So I want to do that. And
right on.
We got involved with one of the film shoots with the Metal Tech guys, who are mainly Land Cruiser and now Bronco, on one of the film shoots we did years ago. The first Grand Tour or Top Gear I did in. They kitted up the Land Cruiser for that. We worked on the Range Rover, so that Grand Tour shoot with a Land Cruiser and a Suzuki and a Range Rover. So I
remember that.
Friends, so I want to kind of hook up with them and you guys as well. And one of the Overland shows would be tremendous, and do a bit of off roading would be very cool. Yeah.
Well, you're welcome here anytime, and we'll look forward to that. So again, Bob, thank you so much for your time, and have a great holiday.
Cool, you guys. Because when are you guys in Portland?
All the best in the new year.
That's so cool. Because
that's me.
That's right. Because Dan, my son,
Ike's up in
when he was at college, we actually got him some work experience out at Metal Tech in Portland there. So the college thought it was pretty weird that we were sending him to the States, but I thought it's a great experience for him. So he's mad on that as well. So cool. Yeah.
Well, that's great. We'll set something up with Warren or something. Yeah, that would be awesome.
Cool. I mean, they donated us a winch after
for sure. We'll do it for sure.
So that's pretty cool as well. So for Warren were appreciative as well. So that's cool. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, they seem like good guys. They
Great
seem
to meet
like
up
a
you
good bunch
guys.
there.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. All right, you too, Bob. Thanks very much,
Fantastic.
and all the best.
Really appreciate it. All right, take care.
All right, well, absolutely spectacular conversation with Bob.
Might be the best guest we've had so far. I was pretty excited to hear all about his time in the Camel Trophy, and winning, and he still possesses the winning vehicle. It's pretty awesome.
It is pretty cool.
And one with his brother.
What a
great story.
Yeah, I know. It is really amazing. I mean, like I'm lucky if my brother and I can get all the way through a dinner without somebody getting too drunk to leave the restaurant.
You guys can't even agree on pizza toppings.
It's true. Can't do it. And yet, there you go. These guys, no problem. Winning the Camel Trophy, have the trophy. I've seen it. We've seen it. We saw the trophy when we were there. It's amazing. Very, very cool. Great guy. Definitely, again, on the list of we'll have to have him back at some point because, the 9 hours it felt like that we chatted with him is simply just not enough. We could talk for days.
To do an interview at his farm while driving in the vehicle.
Yeah. We're gonna have to do it. That's for next year's trip to England. Absolutely, put it on the list. So speaking of next year, Ike and Old Gossifer, we've got some really great stuff coming up. So next episode, Ike will be in the middle of absolutely nowhere by himself, having an ayahuasca dormobile trip, and so we have assembled a very special Christmas episode with highlights from this year, which is just an excuse for Ike and I not to record another show before Christmas because we're busy and there's only so much we can make up in a single
I believe
week.
it will have my review of Nando's in that Christmas special.
Absolutely, we're going to go ahead and make sure that we fit that into the Christmas special. We've run out again of time this week, unfortunately, Ike. But hey, as always, it's been a slice, and just wanted to take a moment and have just a brief moment of silence for somebody very special in the Land Rover community, Mr. Kevin Bacon, not the actor, but the
sad news. Mr. Kevin Bacon passed away. For those of you that follow him on Instagram, definitely a titan of swine-kind. Certainly, really, actually, truly sad about this. I loved seeing his Instagram with Land Rovers really cool, interesting Land Rovers in the background. Kevin Bacon will be missed.
Yeah, no question about it. So let's keep Kevin Bacon in our thoughts over the course of the holiday. For everyone, we'll see you in a few weeks. Have a wonderful holiday. Have a wonderful Christmas or whatever you celebrate. And we will see you in the new year with a very exciting year. First of all, a look ahead at the year to come, and then God knows what else we'll get up to. So with that, Ike, it's been a great year. Have a heck of a finish to 21, and we'll see you on the other side. We'll see you in 22.
All right, Steven, see you on the trail.